Usually Castro Street is booming with activity at night, but on this Sunday evening, everyone had to go back to work. It was Christmas when people went to parties and not to pubs, and well, San Francisco was very depressed. You might say the city was in mourning. Many things had died in that week. The mayor of Castro Street supervisor and the beloved Harvey Milk had been assassinated, along with the real mayor George Moscone. The city where people carried flowers in their hair now had become the center for violence. Since the assassin was none other than an Irish cop, the cops went on a power-crazy rampage. They arrested gays whenever and wherever they pleased. They wanted to put down liberal politics once and for all and bring back law and order. And for some reason, there were reports of random stabbings in public places. Well, there were always many crazy cult groups and individuals in the city by the bay, and perhaps they just wanted to join in the party of mayhem and destruction. Hopefully, all of that would pass away, I told myself, watching an old movie in an Art Deco palace called the Castro Theater on Castro Street. But right at the most exciting part of the movie, Dog Day Afternoon, starring Al Pacino, a man yelled out in front of me, "Help! I've been stabbed!" Now, all the ushers ran over to the victim, but no one seemed to notice the perpetrator of the crime but me. So when I jumped up out of my seat, spilling hot, greasy popcorn all over my new white jeans, I thought I'd be one of many people chasing the stabber. But there was no one behind me or in front when I ran out into Castro Street. Apparently everyone in the theater was wrapped up in make-believe. Of course, any sane person would have just shrugged his shoulders when he realized that no one else gave a damn. But I was really pissed off. Why did this incident have to take place on my watch, when everything during that day had been turned upside down? My wife had just walked out on me. My landlord gave me 30-day notice. My boss had fired me. Now the only good pair of pants to my name, a pair of sparkling white jeans, had been stained at the crotch with hot buttered popcorn, and all because some idiot had to yell out, "Help, I've been stabbed." Christ almighty. Couldn't he have kept that to himself? All day people have been stabbing me metaphorically, and I just tried to grin and bear it and carry on. Yet, since I was now out in the cold, moist fog, it seemed maybe I should pursue my quest and at least find out whether someone saw the stabber run out of the theater. You see, back in 1978, when cell phones didn't exist, you still constantly heard on the news that if you saw something, you should say something. So I walked up to the corner where I saw a figure jogging in place waiting for the cars to thin out on Market Street, the busiest intersection in the city. "Hey buddy, do you see someone run out of the theater just now?" And with the instant grace of a ballet dancer, the figure whooshed around and glared at me. Well, he looked scared like a wild animal does when it's startled. But I was the one at a disadvantage. For this man stood a foot taller than me, had broad shoulders, and breathed heavily like a bear does when it stands up straight. "Hey ma'am, what the fuck you want?" he said in a deep baritone voice that was raspy and raw. Then he took a couple of deep sniffs through his nose, like a cocaine user does, just before his nerves break down into a violent outburst. "Sorry to bother you, but you're the only one out here. The man who ran away was wearing a hooded windbreaker, kind of like yours. Only he was carrying a knife," I said, seeing something connected to his belt. Now, even with the streetlight above us, I could only see certain details from the front. Everything else was cast in a dark shadow. If I could get him to turn to the side in either direction, then maybe I could see what he had on his belt. "You see down there, where the marquee is?" I said, hoping the man would step closer into the streetlight. "I think, but I'm not sure, that he ran up the street in your direction." "Well, I was facing Market Street, so my back was turned to anyone who walked or ran by. Well, hey, I got the green light now, so I'll see you later, buddy, he said. He turned around, exposing what I thought to be a hunting knife in a sheath attached to a big black leather belt. But I had to be wrong. This must be an illusion. For why would anyone be so blatant? Wouldn't a random stabber be more stealthy, more secretive, and carry a switchblade in his pocket? Did he want to be caught? Or was he a real hunter like Davy Crockett? Or both? Was he the Davy Crockett of serial killers? Or maybe he was just after the specific man in front of me. The whole incident, was it an act of jealousy involving a woman or another man? I could talk to him, kill time just long enough for the police to come out and capture him. Maybe my bold plan would make me a hero in the evening news, help rejuvenate my dwindling life. Yeah, I had to think and act fast. For now, I just had to maneuver my way through danger and hope what I'd seen was really a hunting knife and not just a bunch of household tools. But why would a carpenter be jogging with a tool chest on his belt unless he also he was a burglar on the side? My God, if I catch this man, I'd have hit the jackpot. I could just see the headline now. Random stabber / burglar caught by eyewitness man. And below there'd be a picture of me with a big cheesy smile, holding the stabber's very own knife in my hand. Only when I got to the other side of Market Street, there seemed to be nothing ahead but a series of smaller streets going off into the dark fog. However, the harder I squinted through the fog, the more I saw the same man leaning under a street lamp, motioning me to come over. Was this another illusion that turned out to be true? Or really a true fake brought on by my own stress? Would I walk up to the street lamp and find no one? Or would he be there, mug me, take my wallet, and then stab me to death? Or did he need my advice and help? I glanced back at Castro Street. It now seemed so far away from the 4-lane boulevard I just ran across to an area that was desolate and foreboding. Should I try and run back, darting my way through the streaming onslaught of cars, or find out what the man under the streetlight wanted, or whatever it was I saw in the dark, dank night? Well, when you're at the last rung on a ladder, all you can do is take the next final step down and see if you have any ground to stand on. So I slowly took baby steps over to the figure, ready to run in the opposite direction. Then, what I thought was an illusion became a fact. From the corner of my eye, I did spot an actual foot-long hunting knife in a sheath attached to a big wide belt. Look, buddy, I know you're not a jogger because... and then I became tongue-tied and looked down at his feet. Because you're wearing working boots, I said. I looked back at him. And they're far too clunky. No jogger would be wearing working boots. The man then whipped out his hunting knife, like one of the Three Musketeers, wrapped his arm over my throat, and pointed the tip of his hunting knife at my chest. And all I could do was ramble on while constantly looking down at his weapon. You just got a little excited at the end of the movie. Hell, I got so excited I jumped up and got hot buttered popcorn all over my new jeans. The stabber bent his head down to take a closer look, and then he released his grip, walked around me, took a few steps back, and then smiled, and then broke down into uproarious waves of laughter. Man, that looks ridiculous. That stain on your crotch looks like a bullseye on a dartboard. Only your bullseye's the biggest motherfucking bullseye in the whole wide world. I bent down and saw that the streetlight had captured and illuminated my greasy stain, as if it were under a microscope. I gave him an awkward and pathetic smile. I also mustered up feeble laughter, pretending I found my state as amusing as he did. True, I could have just as easily turned around while he was still laughing and make a go of it. But then he could stab me in the back. And besides, I wanted to be a hero. I wanted to make the headlines in the morning newspaper. I knew that both my wife and ex-boss were avid readers of the San Francisco Chronicle, and if I didn't win them back, maybe something else might happen. Maybe someone might want to make a movie out of this heroic act. The stabber breathed heavily like a bear on heat, and his bloodshot eyes darted back and forth suspiciously. "Hey man, what do you really want?" he said. "I want you to go back to Castro Street I said, and suddenly found myself speechless. My eyes aimlessly looking back in the direction where we met. Was this another illusion like the hunting knife that turned out to be the real thing? From across the boulevard, I saw a sign in front of the tunnel. And even though I couldn't read the sign from where we were, I remembered that it said the Twin Peaks streetcar, and from there I would just wing it and improvise. "Hey buddy, see the streetcar across from us? That streetcar, there, it travels up to a mountain and takes you to the Twin Peaks National Park. You can hide out there tonight, and if you get hungry, you can kill a coyote or mountain lion with your hunting knife. Who knows, maybe I could get him to go over there and wait under the tunnel till the police came to capture him. The police were bound to come over there. It was a natural place to look. And here was the best part. I knew that the streetcars stopped running at that hour. Yet what I told him about the Twin Peaks National Forest was just a bold-faced lie. Now when someone like the stabber finds out that you're pulling his leg, you were dead meat. So I stood there waiting for his answer, reciting to myself the Lord's Prayer. And then he put out his hand and said, "Hey, that sounds like a great hideout. Thanks for the advice. You're a real prince among men." And so I shook his hand. What could I do? He called me a prince among men. No one had ever given me such an accolade. Certainly not my wife or my boss, whose friendship I was trying desperately to get back, if I ever had it in the first place. Then, as another act of appreciation, he took off his belt, slipped off his knife and sheath, and handed them to me. But before I could hand them back, he turned around, darted through the speeding cars, went into the tunnel by Castro Street, and waited for the Twin Peaks streetcar. Well, damn it if my plan didn't go completely wrong. The streetcar pulled up very late and took the stabber in and left. Now, I was so startled, I sat down on the bench across the tunnel and just stared at this bloody hunting knife, wondering if it was real or an illusion. Please believe me, officer. I'm an innocent man. This is all I know about reality and illusion.